Well, I guess we have to make another affirmations video. If you've been watching the last couple affirmation videos, you know that, in my opinion, there's maybe no more direct and foolproof way when you're trying to like externally change something in your life, or in the very least shift how you feel about something externally, like a specific thing like your health or a relationship or a financial situation, a job. If you want to, ideally manifest a different external reality with it, but in the very least shift how you feel about this specific situation. There's maybe no more foolproof way to do that, especially when you feel like you can't shift how you feel about it, or that this manifestation is impossible. There's no more foolproof way that I know of than by just affirming the living F out of it. And, we hear all the time, affirmations are very popular, but we hear all the time justifiable criticism that they don't work well for the majority of people that do them. I agree. I also don't personally like doing affirmations all that much. But what I've been saying the last few videos, what Émile Coué says, what in modern times Sammy Ingram says, what the guy I'm going to talk about today says, is that, and what Victor Bach, who wrote How to Solve All Your Money Problems Forever, says, which is really a great law of attraction manifesting book. What they say is, if you repeat something enough, it's going to start to cause a shift. Because you're implanting the idea into your mind over and over and over and over and over and over again when you say something, especially something that you want to happen. If you want health and you keep on saying health over and over and over again, you feel very unhealthy, but you keep on saying health, in the very least, how you look at your health, how you think about your health is going to start to shift. Affirmations don't work well for people a lot of the time and are justifiably criticized a lot because people don't fucking affirm enough. They do not affirm enough, and they don't affirm for a long enough period of time. They affirm for a couple minutes in the morning, a couple minutes in the evening for like 30 days. Nothing substantial happens on the external. And there might have been some internal shifts, but nothing externally changes that much. They say this doesn't fucking work. That's not how to do affirmations. If you're going to just do it like in the morning and evening, for instance, or just spend a couple minutes a day on it, that's fine. That's great. In my short guide, 5-Minute Finances, I talk about an approach that does that. Coué generally advocated an approach where you're only really, affirming a few minutes a day. Joseph Murphy talks about affirming for only a few minutes a day. But that type of approach works if you feel relaxed and expectant about what you're affirming. If you're like, this is going to happen, and I'm just, like every day in every way I'm getting better and better, or every day in every way I'm getting wealthier and wealthier, every day in every way I'm getting healthier and healthier. General statements like that, right? If you already kind of feel that and you're just affirming it to remind yourself of it a couple times a day, and there's not too much internal friction the rest of the day telling you that it's not going to happen, then those short affirmations are incredibly effective. But even a great affirmation, like the greatest, most famous affirmation probably the last 100 years, which is Coué's every day in every way I'm getting better and better, which helped cure literally tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people. And I'm not exaggerating, okay? This is not like an outlandish LOA claim. That's what Coué succeeded in sharing with people. Every day in every way, I'm getting better and better is a catch-all affirmation that works really well if you believe it. But if you just say every day in every way, I'm getting better and better in a passive state, and do it in the morning and the evening, as Coué suggests, and don't do anything else the rest of the day to counteract that negative resistance that might come up, and you feel a lot of that resistance a lot of the time, it's going to be hard for that affirmation or that auto-suggestion. For practical purposes, auto-suggestion and affirmation are the same thing. It's going to be hard for that affirmation to work magic in your life. You might see little things, but you got to be relaxed and expect it to happen a lot of the time if you're only affirming for a couple minutes a day. Otherwise, all the negative crap in your mind telling you it's not going to happen is going to override the positive affirmation. And it might eventually happen. You might externally manifest what you want, even though for a long time you don't believe it's going to happen by just affirming a couple minutes a day. But it's if you're only affirming a couple minutes a day and hoping to manifest something, it obviously helps a lot if you believe it's going to happen, at least in some significant way. If you can feel it, like you feel a shift. And what we've been talking about is something different, which is basically like, not believing that you are going to get what you want, not feeling that, and at the same time affirming anyway. Hey, Vivo.
Hi.
I'm making a video, Bino, okay? I'll be done in a couple minutes, all right?
So you can watch it?
So I can watch it and other people can watch it. Yes. Are you going to take a bike ride with Mom?
Yes, and you.
All right, be careful. Stay at the end of the driveway. Hold on one second. Ugh. Vivo, stay there. So you want to, just wait for Mom, okay? Thanks, honey. If you do not have that belief, if you don't have that belief that you are going to get what you're affirming in some way, if you don't feel a shift, right? And it's just like, this is impossible. That's when I think you have to affirm a lot more. And that's, again, the value of like what Sammy talks about just affirming all the time, even if you don't believe. So with that in mind, I would be remiss, we mentioned Victor Bach, and I was saying how to Solve All Your Money Problems Forever is a really good book talking about just implanting an idea, even when you don't initially believe it at all. Another really good book, and a book that I'm surprised I don't mention more or like at all on the channel or in the podcast. It's funny, this is a classic little guide. It's not even a book, it's a pamphlet. A lot of you probably heard of it. It's called It Works by RHJ, Randall Jarrett. I forget what the H stands for. It Works was written in around Coué's time, right around when Coué was either still alive or had just passed. So like mid-20s, I think. Maybe it's from the early 30s. 26, which I believe is the same year that Coué died, 1926, was when it was first published. Jarrett, RHJ, Jarrett was influenced by Coué, and he came up with a very simple plan for how you can utilize affirmations, and he wrote about it in the book It Works, this pamphlet. This pamphlet's a classic. It sold, it's sold over 1 million copies. If you, again, there's a lot of people have found success following the advice in this pamphlet. It's very simple and good. And what I wanted to mention, what I would be remiss if I didn't mention, given the last couple of videos, is just the plan that Jarrett writes about in here. And I really do suggest you read this pamphlet. It's well worth it if you're into affirmations and what we've been discussing. But the plan that Jarrett says is very interesting. There's a point here that kind of underscores what we're talking about constantly saying your affirmation. The 3 positive rules of accomplishment for it works. He says this is what you do. He says write down on paper in order of importance the things and conditions you really want in your life. And, he says don't be afraid to modify the list. There will be changes. This is natural. But he says the positive rules of accomplishment are this. Number 1, read your list of what you want 3 times each day, morning, noon, and night. Okay, so you've got your list, and he says read it 3 times a day. The second thing is what I want to underscore. He says point 2 is think of what you want as often as possible. And the third thing is do not talk to anyone about your plan except to the great power within you, which will unfold to your objective mind the method of accomplishment. Point 2 is hugely important. Think of what you want as often as possible. Coué doesn't always talk about it like this, using auto-suggestions and affirmations this way. Sammy does. Jarrett in this pamphlet does. Think about it as often as possible means think about what you want as often as possible. If you feel like you can't think about it in an effective way, just keep on saying your statement over and over again. Whatever you wrote down, if you're using this method, just say it over and over again. Stay in the driveway, Vivo, okay?
But Mom, we said I could visit you.
You can visit me, okay? This video will be done in like 2 minutes, okay?
Okay.
Perfect, sweet girl. Thank you. Viv and I gotta go biking. Gotta have priorities in life, guys, So this list, you want to look at it, Jarrett says, at least 3 times a day, but you want to be thinking of what's on it as much as you can, which is very interesting. That's the same thing as saying a statement over and over and over and over and over and over again. Your subconscious, your imagination then gets imbued with the statement. And instead of thinking so negatively about what you want, which is what we have a tendency to do a lot of the time, you start to feel more positive and expectant of it actually happening, which will cause an emotional shift for you and likely will result, if you do it for long enough and feel it enough, in some kind of positive external manifestation. Perhaps exactly what you want. All right, things are getting wild here in my house, so I have to go. If you have questions, just let me know. RadicalCounselor.com. Enjoy your day.